Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. We're so excited to have you again. The issue of the Chinese loan has caused a lot of controversy in Nigeria. We just reported a day ago that the Afenifere are saying that no inch of their land will be given to any federal government creditors. And right now, the info we have, it's about what other African countries are actually suffering because of what is called the Chinese loan, debt trap. And Nigeria is about entering into it, though we are hearing other stories come up. So just listen to the news, and from there we will go ahead with analysis.
Nigeria is falling into China's debt trap. Nigeria lacks accountability, transparency, and responsibility to refund its loans, according to Dr. Bongo Adi, the director of Center for Infrastructure Policy Regulation and Advancement at the Lagos Business School (CIPRA). 9 days ago, the House of Representatives mandated some of its committee to investigate all China-Nigerian loan agreements from 2000 to date. The intention of the Green Chamber was actually to see what was happening. Igbakpa argued that the agreement should be investigated as there were global concerns about the alleged fraudulent, irregular, and underhand feature of Chinese loans contracts with some African countries, which has resulted in a new form of economic colonialism foisted by China. Meanwhile, Nigeria has obtained 17 Chinese loans to fund different categories of capital projects, and Nigeria will still be servicing these Chinese loans till around 2038, which is the maturity date for the last loans obtained in 2018. The lawmakers' concern is worthy to be considered. Well, we found out that the history of Chinese loans, especially in Africa, is a growing concern. Several observers, including some of the United States representatives, have warned many nations on what they described as Chinese debt trap diplomacy, as the Asian nation allegedly uses finance as a weapon in many developing countries. Victims of Chinese alleged debt trap diplomacy, since all Chinese loans are tied to infrastructural development, some of the African nations have had to forfeit their stakes in infrastructure which they use as collateral after they defaulted. For instance, $7.4 billion of Zambia's total $8.7 billion foreign debt is owed to China, representing a large debt burden given the relatively small size of Zambia's economy. It was reported in late 2018 that Zambian government was in talks with China that might result in the total surrender of the state electricity company, that's ZESCO, as a form of debt repayment, since the country had defaulted on the plethora of Chinese loans for Zambia's infrastructure project. Also, Kenya may soon lose its largest and most lucrative port, that's Port of Mombasa, to its creditor China, after it defaulted in the refund. This could force Kenya to relinquish control of the port to China. One of the most cited examples of this alleged debt trap diplomacy by China is a loan given to Sri Lankan government by the Exim Bank of China to build the Magubara Mahinda Rajapaksa Port and Matala Rajapaksa International Airport. The state-owned Chinese firms, that's China Harbour Engineering Company and Sino-Hydro Corporation, was hired to build the Mogambora port at a cost of $361 million, of which 85% funded by China's state-owned Export-Import Bank at an annual interest rate of 6.3%. Due to Sri Lanka's inability to service this debt on that port, it was leased to Chinese state-owned China Merchant Port Holding Company Limited on a 99 years lease beginning from 2017. Nigeria is in trouble.
Yeah, but right now, Amaechi says Nigerians should not worry because they've even started repaying the loan. According to him, he said, we are paying the loan. In the same National Assembly sitting, they were told that the 500 million dollar loan, we have paid $96 million already. Nigeria is already paying, and the 500 million was not taken by us, it was taken by President Goodluck Jonathan in his term, and that clause was there, he stated. He said the excitement about the immunity clause is misplaced as it was just a clause that protects China loan. Anybody that is saying he doesn't know what a sovereign guarantee or immunity is too bad for the person, because it simply means in trade that I am not giving you this loan free of charge. Just like you go to the bank to call it a loan, the money, the moment you don't pay, they go after your asset you put down. That is all about the cost. The Chinese can never come and take over Seoul Rock and become president or minister, he said. The House of Representatives, in their probe of China loan to Nigeria, found that the agreement ceded Nigerian sovereign right on the asset financed by the loan to China if there was payment default. So right now, investigation is ongoing, and I don't know what the federal lawmakers are going to do. So we are going to look at all of this in a jiffy. Now, looking at what the antecedent of China loan, what they normally do if you default, do you think that Nigeria is in readiness to pay off this loan without defaulting?
You know, my problem with Nigeria is that naturally, Nigeria is richly endowed. We have what it takes. In fact, we don't need any loan. We have what it takes to develop our country gradually. But it's rather unfortunate we have started collecting the loans. Whether we like it or yes, those loans have been collected, signed, duly signed. But the challenge now is some of this capital project or some of this monies collected for this capital project may be diverted. The funds may be diverted. And if they are diverted, that means the reason why we collected this loan for the capital project is defeated. So for us to start repayment, we may likely be looking at the common man, probably through fiscal policies, taxation, and all whatnot. At some point, Nigerians will groan. There will be disgruntled element shouting and screaming that this dispensation has been too harsh or not, and there may be some level of default. And when that happens, which China already knows, they will take our asset. Now, the challenge now is those who have collected this asset before now, have there been any African country who have successfully collected huge loans from China and
Pay
repaid?
off. Yeah,
That's
that's
the
some.
challenge. Now, if there has been no antecedent of such, that means we might actually be in for a lot of trouble. You can imagine 99 years lease. How many years does the country even need to grow? If you have taken the whole of it for 99 years, and to think that, and there's no way they will take part of that economy, that they will not bring in their own Chinese people. So that
Exactly.
means by default, those countries or Nigeria, as the case may become an extension
Yeah.
of China.
Yeah.
So we should start learning Chinese then.
Exactly. Now, another concern is the fact that the government of the day, every time a new government comes on board, they come up with their new project and with their new plans, and these will always push them to get more loans. So right now, one of the things that is troubling most Nigerians is the fact that this government will go off 2023. This government is off. A new government will come on board. Most of the time, this government may forget the fact that there's an existing loan which should cause them to slow pay down when it comes to collecting loan. They won't care. They will still go ahead and collect more and more loan. The question is, if this is happening, that's if a new government comes again, because according to the info given by Amaechi, he said the $500 million loan that we are crying over currently was not collected by this government, but already we are in the know that this government has collected another loan, $22.9 million loan, $1 billion loan that we're talking about. A reasonable part of it was going to be coming from the Chinese.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are going to give us some years before we start moratorium, before we start paying the loan. Now, when a new or another government comes, they are going to also bring up their developmental plans, put it on the table, and go for another loan, which therefore means certainly we will continually be in the debt record of the Chinese. And at one point, we will default.
So that means what you're even saying, in fact, the way you're even saying it now, I'm getting more scared as a Nigerian. Why I'm saying this is because if they continue in this line, that means it's not only, we're not looking at only one asset they're going to seize.
Exactly.
Because one will start default, will probably be default cut across board.
Exactly.
Now, when that happens, imagine now that LNG, like that your man has alleged.
Yeah.
Imagine we losing LNG to China, losing our oil and gas sector to
Yes.
China, losing our electricity to China. That north, that place that they have started mining gold, let's start thinking of also losing that golden refinery
You know,
to
the
China.
Fulani herdsmen may not allow at that point.
At that, do you understand? Because that one was not among the assets to assets they used as collateral. You know, when they did all this, there was this asset they signed.
Yeah.
So okay, in case we default, seize this asset, I'm so sure the northern refinery, that golden refinery, is not involved.
Exactly.
So while they have taken other part, the north refinery will be moving nicely and smoothly without any hitches.
No, we are in for something we may not be able to explain. I think that's why there's a lot of, push. There's a lot of fueling of this secession drive by different geopolitical zones. We know of IPOP. Now, these guys have joined Oduduwa. They are also pushing so much. So if at the point it seems that the country is stuck up with so much loan, most of them may likely want to secede at that point.
Sorry to digress a little. Even as we speak right now, Professor Banji has started crying out loud that they have already registered them. You know, they were duly registered.
That's Duduwa.
Yeah, that's this Yoruba World Congress. They were fully registered, and they started making waves. In fact, they had 200 local government meetings simultaneously. There were a lot of, they had a lot of, acceptance. Yorubas came out en masse. To his amazement, just 2 days ago, they deregistered them.
That's a Corporate Affairs Commission.
I tell you.
Yeah, I've the same thing happened to these guys too.
Ohaneze
and Dibo. They say the reason why they are deregistering them, they are supposed to get a particular document from the security, department of the country. That there's a document that you have which will legitimize you. Yeah, exactly. That you are okay to run as a group, as a pressure group, or as a social political group in the country.
But as it is now, according to him, Prof said that there's grapevine that they actually want to clamp down on all those who have identified themselves as those among the Yoruba Nation World Congress, especially those living in Nigeria. It's a serious one, I tell you. It's a serious one. So with all this agitation, imagine clamping down on them right now with all this. I just pray, honestly, Amaechi is just saying this thing as if it's
very easy.
So
exactly.
easy. Yeah. Borrow, pay. As if when they collect those monies for those capital projects, they usually collect it and run those capital projects as at when due. Exactly. We all know this drill, and we're scared as a nation, because if this happens, just imagine a section of Nigeria ceded to China, because if they are going to come in and take over some of these projects, he's talking as if in the next 30 years he will still be under governance.
Exactly.
He won't be there. He may be paying now, but the next dispensation may not be as prompt.
He may have passed on that time.
Do you understand? That's the generation you're putting into slavery.
Exactly. And
that's not fair.
We are still hopeful that we continue paying, owing to the fact we already have a pre-knowledge of what will become of Nigeria if they don't pay. So let's just be hopeful and pray that everything goes well. That's where we're going to leave it. Please go to our comment section. Let us interact. What's your position on this, considering the history of Chinese loan in other African countries? Do well to comment. Don't forget that Jesus loves you.